Manipur was a 11-gun salute state. Kashmir and Hyderabad were 21-gun salute state. Cochin and Travancore was also one of those gun salute states. So Manipur came, but unlike other princely states, Manipur had a constitution of its own. The king was reduced to a constitutional monarch. But the government of India bulldozed those constitutions and the assemblies. That's the dissatisfaction led to the armed movement in Manipur. As a part of countering that, Indian state did was to prop up these small tribal armed groups to fight against these armed groups. So it is a part of that violence that continue, and the present crisis is part of the same problem. Many of the so-called SOO groups of these Kukis have never fought with the Indian state. They have never fired a single bullet, so to speak, against Indian armed forces. Yet these are armed groups. The government of India maintain a relationship and suspension operations. You must understand why some people demand the scrapping of these SOO. It is these practices that they was burst into flame for two reasons. I think I'll just cut short with this. Because of these tradition of separate and practices various kinds of ideas, there is a movement for Zalingam, which is supposed to be an independent country comprising of what they call it Kuki Chin groups in Bangladesh and Myanmar, which is a Chin state, neighboring Mizoram. So it encompasses a large group of these areas, and there is an ethno-nationalist mobilization. And part of the population in Manipur's southern part is implicated in that movement. So many of them imagine Kuki state within India as some sort of a halfway home to maintain their own autonomy within their structures. So they will side with this side, Indian state one time, another side, this side. So that gets complicated. And the Indian state continued this move. Many observers believe this crisis is also related to controlling and neutralizing political armed groups who have been fighting against the Indian state. This particular crisis, they said, is part of that, to mobilize forces, to create alternative civil society forces. In fact, it has been done now. You have armed groups who have never heard of before. There are groups which are much more active today, and that neutralizes and balances some of the traditional forces. So this is part of the crisis that we have. Two more issues. The Golden Triangle, notorious for its drug and poppy, has UN reports suggested that it has shifted its gear towards the eastern side, out of Laos, Thailand, and Myanmar. Myanmar became the hub of that one. It has spillover in Manipur. That is why, bordering Myanmar, you have massive forests and hill areas, you have poppy cultivations. So there are an international drug dimensions to the crisis, and we are pretty sure that local people are also involved. But I suspect that those people will be minor player of this game. But when I say minor, remember that when you're dealing with opiums like this, even a minor would mean thousands of crores of rupees. And according to some observers, when I had a conversation with them, the economy of drug in Manipur runs in 60,000 crores, much bigger than that of the state's own budget.